Chappell Roan.
That picture.
Oh my God.
Could you get another person into that space?
Oh my God. This is I mean, it just keeps blowing my mind. This young lady, Chappell Roan, is taking over
crazy, isn't it?
pop music. Watch out, Taylor Swift.
Welcome back to the What Podcast. I'm Barry. That's Brian. That's Lord Taco. Russ. How are you guys?
Great.
I'm doing well. A lot of cool stuff going on up north we'll get to. That down south it's kind of boring right now, but it's dog days of summer, as they call it, right, Barry?
Yes, yeah. But we do have some news to talk about for 2025, I guess. We'll get to that. We've got a lot to talk about. We were going to have our guest, we talked about it well before Bonnaroo, that we were going to give some stuff away from my basement. And we're going to pick a winner, and we did, and she was going to be our guest today. She got called into work, which is fine. That happens. Life happens. Everything's good. She'll be our guest, I hope, next week. And I say that only because I think we teased it last week or 2 weeks ago or 7 weeks ago, whatever. She'll be on, and she's great. She's got a great story. But so many things to get to. Lollapalooza is going on. There's a Bluegrass festival coming to Chattanooga. That's big news for us. What else? I mean, there's all kinds of things going on.
Yeah, this Canadian festival in Montreal that
Osheaga.
I wasn't hip to because I just wasn't paying close enough attention to, and it's going on this weekend or this past weekend, and it looks to be a big time also. So
our correspondent, as we're calling him, Correspondent Trevin, who's been on the show several times, is up there. I reached out to him this morning to get an update. We'll get into that a little bit. Chappell Roan is up there. Pictures from that. You and I were sharing with each other, the three of us yesterday. That's incredible. I want to start, and this won't mean much to you guys because it's so weird. I got a text on Friday from Ray Crabtree, who's the drummer for the White Animals, and he shared they've got a new record out, and I shared it with you guys, and as soon as I hit send, I realized you were probably both babies when the White Animals were the literal shit. I don't know how else to say it.
Yeah, and you're going to have to not only let the audience know what you're talking about more, you're going to have to let me, and I'm guessing likely Russ, know as well.
Yeah.
So go ahead and do that, because you mentioned it. Is that a regional to the Southeast thing, or a hometown Chattanooga thing, or?
Go ahead, Russ. What were you going to say?
Well, being a baby doesn't matter. I mean, I know plenty of bands before my time. I've listened to all kinds of music, older than me, but I don't have a clue.
And nobody
who this
knows
band
babies.
is.
Nobody knows babies better than
Yeah,
Russ.
Well, what I'm saying is, I don't have a clue who this band is.
Yeah,
I still don't know who
I
this
get
is.
it.
So this is like a local band?
Yeah, we're not millennials. We do know music before we were born.
Yeah, you don't have to be
I get it. They were so. It's kind of funny. You went yesterday, Brian, to see Driving and Crying, right? Last night in Chattanooga.
Yeah, local free little concert series we have here in Chattanooga. Atlanta's Driving and Crying.
I was trying to think of how to approach this. They were the combination of Driving and Crying and whoever your local best band ever was. And to your point, regional. If you were a fraternity sorority member in any college between Virginia and Florida in the 80s, you knew who the White Animals were.
Okay, that makes sense.
I mean, they were it.
And to use Driving and Crying as a comp there is perfect, because they were a frat type band too back in the more like late 80s into the early 90s. If you were in a frat from that same swath of states, you liked Driving and Crying because they came to your fraternity house.
They came to your fraternity house, and they were your band.
Yeah,
that's what I that's kind of the point I'm trying to make is you thought you knew them better than anybody else in the world, right?
And because your access to be able to be around them was probably quite good, then you felt like you were friends with them. This is perfect comp with Driving and Crying, because this is what I've been doing with them my whole life. Half the people I'll talk to are like, who?
Right.
And then a third is like, oh, they're okay. And then the other third is like, they're the greatest I've ever heard in my life.
I was
So
there. I was there, man.
I met him that night, too. We've all met the guy, dude.
We all met. And so the reason I want to bring it up is because we're talking the 80s. So it was pre-social media. So there was not any of that. It was just they were in your town. And they played Yesterday's, which is a local club. Every town has the club. Yesterday's was ours. And these guys did a show one Sunday, I think. Came in limos. The line was all the way around the block. I mean, just huge, right?
Came in limousines, huh?
Came in limousines. They were big time. They used to fill up the Armory. And they've got a new record out, and that's why I'm bringing it up.
Is it a comeback of sorts, or do they even if it's every 10 years? I mean, do they put out music here and there?
No, well, yes and no. They came Chattanooga 2018, I think. That's why the drummer Ray is their manager. He's the PR guy, I should say, not manager. He reached out, and we've been talking ever since. Kind of become friendly, and then he, reached out and said, "Hey, we've got this new record coming out. Do you want a copy?" And of course, yeah, I do.
Of course you do.
And it's really, really good. And it's what I like about it is they went back and did what they used to do. And the other thing is they had a guy, and this was so they used to open for Talking Heads, and they had their sound guy was considered their fifth member, and they called him Dubmaster. Right.
Okay.
So it sort of predated the whole EDM DJ thing, right? We're talking the early 80s. So if you can imagine, a lot of echo, a lot of reverb, a lot of hit that note, and then it would do. So
yeah, the 80s in a lot of ways was a very experimental decade.
Exactly.
With that kind of stuff, that kind of technology, and from hip hop to Neil Young did some of that stuff in the 80s.
Yeah. These guys, the reason I'm even talking about it, we don't typically go regional, but they were so big. And if you know, Brian, you're fond of saying, if you know, you know. If you were
say
a fan,
it too much.
If you were a fan of the White Animals, you'll be very excited to know they have a new record out. It's called Star Time. I think it's really good, and I just think it's kind of cool. Because it predates so much of what we love musically and everything else. And
well, it's always cool to see a band like Driving and Crying, or somebody who would be from the same regional-ish kind of niche kind of space of music, keep making music, even if it's not that great. Like, it's still cool to know that they still pull that off, and yeah, so it's real cool.
Yeah. Anyway, I want to give them a shout out and let everybody know if you were around back in the day and you were into the White Animals, they've got new music out and it's really good. So, go ahead.
On the subject of new music, Smashing Pumpkins has a new record out.
I saw that. Was that long awaited for, or they didn't just drop that out of nowhere, did they?
I don't know. It's not something I follow. I just kind of saw the news and went and checked it out. I thought it was pretty good. It's 10 songs, which is a lot different than like the 30 that they have been doing in some of these other albums. But it sounds, part of it sounds like Smashing Pumpkins mixed with Tool almost. Very drum and guitar heavy. Yeah. But then, I'm still kind of getting through the whole album, but other songs almost sound like old school Smashing Pumpkins.
To speak to Smashing Pumpkins for a minute, used to be one of my favorites. Mm-hmm. They went on this. Billy Corgan's kind of an insufferable type.
Yeah,
but he's grown out of that a lot, it would appear. And they went for like 15 or 20 years where they did it seemed like purposely annoying music.
Yeah.
Like we're purposely going to make music that's not anything like our first 4 albums, including the very first one, Gish, which is still one of their best.
Right.
And then over the last, I don't know, going on 10 years, but certainly 5, 6, 7 years, he's kind of embraced this, you know what? Sorry, guys. I know I kind of abandoned all the stuff you liked, and I probably shouldn't have done that. And now they tour heavily on all that early stuff rather than be the Michael Stipe type, you know, who would be like, I'm not playing this crap anymore.
I love that you connected those two, because there's nobody more purposely annoying than Michael Stipe.
I know, and I love them both. But rather than stick to his
I'm not going to make what you want me to make.
Yeah,
I'm going to make
music
you hate.
You want to hear cool songs? Not a chance.
That's great.
And that's what Billy Corgan did for years, and then he has come way back around on that. They've even done a few tours that were specifically first 2 albums, and that's it. Please come fill the place up. Yeah, and so it doesn't surprise me to hear that maybe he tried to make a throwback album. I'm gonna have to give that a listen.
Give it a shot. I don't know.
I'm gonna ruminate on purposely annoying for a while. That's awesome.
I don't know.
My first thought was Van Morrison, and then my second was Michael Stipe. So, good.
Oh, there you go.
Spot on.
I don't know that his voice has aged all that well. You know, he's always kind of sang in like this weird timbre, but his voice doesn't sound great. But
he struggled to hit those notes. Awfully early in his career. I mean, that I don't need to explain why. You can hear how raspy and loud it would get. But he has struggled with that for a while. But I definitely am interested to hear that, because the last 3 or 4 records, oh God, get those out of here. Got no time for those.
I'm liking this new one.
All right,
cool.
How was the driving and crying?
Same as it always is. Really good, really fun. It's a bit. I was talking to Mike Dewar, local promoter that everybody on the show here is.
Camp Nut Butter founder.
Yeah, long time Camp Nut Butter member. I was talking to him about it last night. He's tight with them, and he all they gotta do is call him up like, hey, can you play the backyard real quick? I got a bar mitzvah, I got to get booked. It's always just a big reunion. It's a big reunion of whatever that group of people were over the last 30 years that you've known. This is very similar. I mean, you just connected it right from the jump at the White Animals thing. It's like, it's really neat. It's really fun. Big turnout. But they're never doing anything very different than ever, because they're in their 60s. I can't believe they still do it. And I know I won't do it here, but told me how much they pay them to play. It's like, really? Y'all aren't retiring yet? Oh, my God. Because they play here like twice a year. It's
right.
I mean, they're from Atlanta, but they're in all of Georgia, North Florida, Tennessee, North Carolina. I mean, there's not a venue they won't play, and good for them. Maybe it is strictly just we love this, or maybe it's just like the rest of us. How the hell am I going to retire? My 401k is a mess.
Big news in Chattanooga Monday. Chattanooga is getting the IBMA, International Bluegrass Music Association Conference, is coming to Chattanooga for the next 3 years, starting in September of 2025. It had been in Raleigh for the last 12 years.
12, yeah.
The reason that I bring that up is because when it was announced, and Brian, I think you talked about this on your Stone on Air podcast, you thought, like a lot of people did, that it was going to be the replacement for Moon River, or was going to be something similar. And it's not. It's nothing like that, which is kind of why I'm bringing it up. Do you think it's reactionary to, for a quick reset, we lost a festival called Moon River. As far as we'll go with that.
But do you think it was reactionary to that? Like, if Moon River was like, hey, we're here for 5 more years, do you think the city and county would have gone after it? IBMA I'm talking about?
Yes. Because it's such a big deal. And that's why I want to mention it, because the other thing is it has that connection. We talk about festivals all the time on this show, and so Chattanooga had Moon River, which is a 12,000, 13,000 people festival that we had in September. We lost that. Not lost. They're on hiatus, we'll say.
Well, it's gone.
Riverbend, yeah.
That's what we all believe anyway.
And then Huntsville announced that South Star is coming. So the timing of it is why I'm sort of bringing it up.
Sure.
We all thought the same thing. Is this Chattanooga's replacement? Is Chattanooga gone after? I don't think so. I think the idea, from what I understand, is that IBMA, and I want to make sure I keep saying it in the right order.
I've had to double check myself. It sounds like we're talking about some kind of
IMDb
IT connection.
The website.
Bill Gates organizations here in town or something.
It's a completely different type of thing. It has music. It has a lot of music, but it also is an awards thing. It's a conference. It's 5 days. It's more than just set up some stages and play. It's a big deal. It's a huge deal. It brings 45,000, 50,000 people from all over the world to wherever it is. And Chattanooga is lucky to have it and proud to get it. But it's not a replacement, or it's not in lieu of, or anything like that. In fact, they don't even know where the big show is going to be yet.
Yeah.
Brian, I don't know if you know that. Yeah, I think you.
I only reference that I don't have any idea. It does feel like it might be a to be determined situation, but
it is.
We don't have a big venue for something like that. Think of like an amphitheater would be mainly what I'm talking about. But we certainly have a nice riverfront that could be dressed up very, very well for a festival without no issue there at all. My first thoughts on it, not to go too far into something here local, but I mean, it is. I do believe it's a big deal. I do believe the people who care about this are very passionate and dedicated towards it. It just immediately kind of felt a little contrived, a little forced in. I don't know why I'm thinking that exactly, other than it just doesn't feel like this is a Chattanooga thing, but. We have a lot of events that aren't, Iron Man, the Head of the Hooch, there's a rowing event, decathlon event that we have here. They didn't start here. We brought them here, and they become events here. So that's a silly thing to get hung up on.
That's interesting you say it that way. The Head of the Hooch, to me, started in outside of Atlanta, Chattahoochee, hence the name. But I can't think of anything more perfect for downtown Chattanooga than that event, because of the way the riverfront lays out.
Yeah,
it's very cool.
It is cool. But
you're right. It didn't start here, but it fits here. Iron Man, I'm with you on that one.
Well, this World of Bluegrass thing, it's been going for a while now, and it's very well established. And I spent some time on the Raleigh Reddit pages, subreddits, and nobody is happy about missing.
Raleigh's pissed off.
There was not it's almost impossible to look at a thread on social and not find somebody who's like, good riddance, the parking was terrible, like something, anything.
Right. Like Iron Man.
Let me give you my anecdotal story of my bad day, and here's why this sucks.
Right.
Not even any of that. They were like, we, for a dozen years they've been working on that. And we don't do anything in the city of Chattanooga, though, like this. This is going to be an interesting how it comes together infrastructurally, because this is kind of, I think, Austin, Texas, when I think of a city, that an event like this, where it's sprawls out. It's not just in a concentrated area. And the way they talked about it in Raleigh, it sounded like it took over their whole city. They're also almost 2.5 times bigger than us. And they said it took over their city in a way that was very complimentary. We got all these things to do, and some of them are free and some of them are not. And so that makes it a lot of options for a lot of different people. Well, I don't want to pay X dollars to go see bands I've never heard of. Fine, we'll go over here where everything's free. And then turns out that everybody seems to enjoy that. So it'll be interesting to see how we as a city pull off something we've never done like this, but I'm excited for it.
Yeah, how does this affect the Three Sisters? Because we have our own Bluegrass Festival.
I'm getting ready to get into that. But No. I'm glad you brought it up. But I want to finish up what Bryan was talking about. We had Donna L., who is with the Chattanooga Tourism Company, on a radio show that I do on Saturdays. She was very instrumental in bringing it in. And to your point, Bryan, the reason we got it over 32 other cities. I mean, there was a big battle. Huntsville, for example, was in the running, Little Rock. The reason I bring that up is, as we talked about on here, South Star is going to Huntsville because the mayor really, really wanted an event that would appeal to the type of people that they want to move to Huntsville, right? Mm-hmm. The engineers, the young movers and shakers, the creatives. So they went after it. Chattanooga went after this, and the reason that they got it, I believe, and according to Donna, is because they managed to get so many different people at the table.
And some federal money or state money.
State was behind it. Our state tourism people are all about it. Everybody got behind it.
And to the credit of Tennessee legislators, which I throw under the bus every chance I get, there was a lot of concern that I don't know where that money came from. It could have been that infrastructure bill federally. I don't know, but it came from somewhere. And everybody was worried here in the state, is that all just going to go to Nashville? Is Nashville going to – the Titans have a new stadium. Right. Nashville's the coolest thing in the country on this side of the Mississippi, when it's not as nearly as cool as people will tell you that it is. But no, to their credit, to Tennessee's credit, they really doled this money out, at least for us, very generously. And we didn't have to get into taxpayers. We didn't have to referendum this thing. We didn't have to vote on it. It's being paid for by this. I'm sorry, I wish I wrote it down, the Tennessee whatever fund. And that's a big reason, but also because of the amount of support it got from local politicians and local musicians, leaders, music leaders, all those kinds of people.
So again, the point that, the reason we're talking about it on this show, which is mostly about Bonnaroo, but it's about festivals and music in general, is this is what's happening. This is the new this is the new reality. This is what you have to do to get these type of events, and these are the type of events. We get it for 3 years. And Bryan, you've talked about we're looking at building a new baseball stadium. These are the kinds of things that people get all fired up about because it's taxpayer money, whatever. But it changes. It can impact the type of city you live in. You have something like this.
Oh, I love it when my tax dollars go and build new stadiums. Nobody wants to hear me say that.
I know.
In a political conversation, nobody cares, because that is also anecdotal and doesn't really matter to the overall scope. But to me, that's where I want my money. Y'all are going to spend it on something and probably waste half of it. Go ahead and build a stadium with it if you want. But here, with this situation, the world of bluegrass, and the reason it went through so easily, and the excitement, I wouldn't call it excitement around here, because I don't think many people really know what it is.
Not yet, they don't.
But the anticipation is,
right.
Well, it ain't costing us nothing, so who cares?
No, that's exactly right. And I think the three of us can agree, I don't care about bluegrass. It's probably my least favorite type.
We've never really talked about that, and that I've either hinted around it or then straight out came and said it out loud. I don't get this stuff either, but hey, it's still a fun time.
I respect it. I love it. I know people. I look at the Sam Bushes, the Billy Strings.
It's a party. It's a party every time.
It's a great time. It's easy to drink a cold beer.
Yeah.
It's as good as it gets. Just stand around and drink a cold beer, and I respect the players. But to me, it's the same song, just played three different ways. Faster, and fastest.
Russ, are you with us on this? Are you with us on this?
Okay. Yeah, I like, one or two bluegrass songs, and then I'm like,
because it is, you got to be careful who you say that out loud
true.
to.
Mm-hmm.
You really, really, really do. And I don't want to stunt. And I know a lot of bluegrass players. I mean, we all do. Some of them are on pretty regionally high rungs of ladders. And I don't want to mess up those relationships by telling people I think their music sucks, and I don't, not there, but the generalization of it. But
I don't think it sucks. I just don't like it. And
it's just boring. To me.
We know Cindy Pinion. You guys, if there's anybody out there listening to this who has not seen Bluegrass Forever bumper stickers, I don't care what state you live in. I guarantee you've seen a Bluegrass Forever bumper sticker.
Yeah, it's got the silhouette of the guy with the stand-up bass, or is it a fiddle? Maybe it's a fiddle, but either way.
I have one.
Boxcar, right?
Boxcar Pinion. It's Cindy's dad.
Okay.
Tremendous respect for what she has done for Bluegrass and that festival, and it's here. So yeah, I don't hate it. It's not me.
Yeah, and then Russ brought up Three Sisters.
Yeah, so I want to talk about that. Sure. So that's the other thing that's really fascinating about this is we have an incredible Bluegrass festival in Chattanooga. I
can't imagine there's a better one because one's so good.
There can't be. There cannot be.
That one's so good.
Boxcar Pinion, the Fletcher Bright and his family started a festival in Chattanooga. It's almost 18 years ago, I think.
Seems like it's more than that, but it's a while.
It may be 20. It may be a while. But it's been around for a while. It's 2 days. It's free, and it is everybody who is anybody has played it. And like I said, I'm not a Bluegrass fan, but I've been, and I go often because it's awesome.
Yeah, I go every year, and because it's free, I never miss a free event in town. And
the Valaflex, the Sam Bushes, name them.
Keller Williams, I know he's not a top draw anymore, but Keller is one of my favorites because he's not really a bluegrass guy. He just conforms to it. But then Green Sky Bluegrass, Yonder Mountain String Band, Infamous String Dusters this year. It is a big name every single year, and this is now going to be within a week or two of each other.
They're back to back. Yeah.
Back to back
on purpose. On purpose, and
I will question that until I see it work. That's a lot. That's a lot of bluegrass saturation in a 10-day stretch.
Well, to the city's credit, and I love them for doing this, they reached out to George Bright, Fletcher Bright, who started this. His family, George, I think, if I'm right, George is my age. Went to his dad. His dad was a real estate mogul here in town.
Tycoon around.
Has done more for this city's music scene than probably anybody that I can think of. But George went to his dad one day and said, I think we need to do a festival. And Fletcher said, okay, let's do it. And so they put up a bunch of money, and they named this thing after George's literally 3 sisters, Fletcher's 3 daughters, and created a festival for free.
And it's been rolling ever since. And I reached out to somebody from the Chattanooga Tourism Company last week and just said, because I didn't know, were there discussions with anybody from
There was. That's what I wanted to bring up.
Yeah. And I got that answer, but go ahead.
Yeah. The IBMA wanted to bring this here 12 years ago, and there was a lot of concern. They didn't want to make Fletcher didn't want to piss him off, basically. And at that time,
I wouldn't either.
Yeah, and at that time, Three Sisters was fairly new, so it was a touchy. But this time around, and from what I understand, guys, Randy Steele, who you both know, right? You should know.
Yeah.
You don't know Randy? Okay, Randy's a fireman, but he's also a terrific musician, bluegrass.
And just one of the kindest, gentlest souls you'll ever meet.
So great.
If he's ever raised his voice, never seen it before.
I think he's awesome. But apparently he is a member of IBMA and heard that maybe they were thinking about moving, and he reached out to Stratton Tingle and said, I think we got a chance. I think are we interested? And so phone calls were made. They called Chattanooga Tourism, and then Domino's. Now, that's such a Chattanooga story, most of you guys out there listening, but it's the way it works anywhere. It's why I'm mentioning it. So
well, and it's really good for. I mean, I don't love the idea we're stacking up a bunch of bluegrass right as college football starts too. That matters here. Doesn't matter to me as much, but it matters around here. Don't love that idea, but I do love the idea of getting something. You know, you're losing, add, addition, subtract.
There you go.
It happens. It's the way life goes, and I'm fine. I'm good with it. I'm happy about it.
And they did call George to your.
That was
point.
The exact response I got. Was,
they called George, and he
first
said,
person we talked to was George Fletcher, and I said, well.
George Bright.
Question answered. Thank you very much.
George Bright, yeah.
Bright.
Called George, and he said, yeah, let's do this because it's such a big thing. So anyway, like I said, we talk festivals, and I'm just fascinated by how this type of thing works.
Yeah,
so,
September of next year,
end of
really
September,
excited.
And then the Three Sisters is the first week of October. So if you like bluegrass,
we got
come to
Chattanooga. Come grab a room.
Plan to stay the week.
You can throw a tent up in Taco's backyard.
Don't look for the bus. All right, so what do we want to talk about next? We got...
Let's get to Lollapalooza for a minute. Our buddy Brad is there. He dodged my, hey, you want to come on the show? When he hits the big city, especially Chicago, he really likes the city of Chicago.
Yeah.
He goes a little hard sometimes. And I wasn't expecting. I'd love to have him on to talk about it. But he's there, as per usual, with his amazing access. But, even if that weren't the case, Chappell Roan.
That picture.
Oh, my God.
Could you get another person into that space?
Oh my God. This is it just keeps blowing my mind. Running off and seeing the Dead and getting wrapped back up in the Dead for like a month brought me out of the Chappell Roan hysteria I was in. But it's slowly creeping back in when I see it. Like the Bonnaroo crowd now doesn't look like all that big a deal.
I know, right?
That was pretty nice. Grant Park, I don't know how big it is, but because I've been to Chicago, but not Grant Park. It's pretty damn big though. A sea from like as far back as you could possibly be, and I've saw several different vantage points on socials of people dancing and losing it to Chappell Roan. What looked to be so far away, they weren't even at the festival. They were that far back and just having a blast as if they were 20 rows out. This woman, this young lady, Chappell Roan, is taking over
crazy, isn't it?
Pop music. Watch out, Taylor Swift. You are mild to the bone compared to what this woman's doing. I mean, I'm jumping way ahead of the cart here.
Yeah, I'm not ready to go there yet.
I don't know. I've
she's
talked
not
to
in
some
that universe,
I've talked to some Taylor people, some pop people, and some industry-ish types that are like, this ascension is possibly on its way. We'll see. I don't know. That might be a little hyperbolically stupid, but she's taking pop and going nuts with it. It's great. I love it.
I don't disagree with the at the moment thing. It's my hesitation.
Getting caught up.
Taylor has been around forever. And continues.
But, and the only thing is, anybody who's asked me, do I think that Chappell has staying power? And that's the whole thing.
That was my point. Yeah.
Can she keep doing that? Well, to me, the quick answer, this is a question that can't be answered, but for me, her music, I mean, I now know it all. I know every song Chappell Roan's ever played. I know them all, and they are all at least on a level of pretty good. This isn't just bubblegum, corporate designed pop music. This is well layered, what could be played as acoustic rock songs if you wanted to just barely rearrange them. Their lyrics are brilliant. The music arrangement is brilliant, which she does most of. And the fact that everything she's done to this point is at least on a level of pretty good. Like Pink Pony Club and Hot to Go, that's the ones that hit all the clips. Those are her dumbest songs by far. The dumbest, no real meaning other than just get the place moving. Most everything else has a deeper meaning, but it's not so coded you can't get it. But
I just love the snark.
It's got a dash of everything. The recipe is almost perfect. It's got a good dash of brash, a good dash of snark. It's got FU in there. It's got I love you in there. It's got I'll do, it. Yeah. Man, it's fun. Good. And
like that picture, and I know we'll have it posted, but I don't see how they could have gotten one more person into that space.
Close to a safety hazard, really. I think the weather was pretty good in Chicago. I don't think the heat was like crazy bad. And they also, I'm sure the infrastructure there is pretty darn good. And I didn't read or hear of anything that was of a danger, at least not on a headline level. One thing real quick I do want to say, though. When we were coming out of Bonnaroo and I was still kind of riding my high, so I was I would regularly. I know I use Lollapalooza as an example a lot, where I'm like, well, you don't get this kind of stuff at Lollapalooza, or this is, and that's just me being a little exaggeration to the moment, kind of prisoner of the moment. When I was watching a bunch of this stuff from Lala on social over the last week, it kind of, and I know Taco, you can speak to this because you've been to more of them recently than me. There is something certainly still pretty special about a city festival too. Like, there is moments of this is great like nowhere else, too. And so if I've ever felt it sounded like I was shortchanging some of those, I miss my old Music Midtown days and the Shaky Knees. I haven't been to Shaky in 4 or 5 years. That kind of stuff is really, really fun in its own way. And Taco, I know you just went to Shaky earlier this year.
It is, yeah. I went to Shaky, and of course I'm biased. I prefer a camping festival, but there's still a lot of fun you can have at a city festival for sure. I mean, especially just because there's so much else to do, really. And
if you got good accommodations and a good setup, that helps everything. But I mean, even further than that, there is a level of kind of getting immersed. Like that Grant Park looked magical.
Yeah.
Oh my God! As long as everybody's safe, I would have done anything to be in Grant Park yesterday, and it wouldn't have mattered. If we went home to my home, to a hostel, to a wherever, it's got a park bench. I'll sleep on that tonight, whatever it is.
I loved going to Forecastle because of Louisville. It was
I've missed out on that.
It was as much about Louisville as it was the music. Loved it. Our friend correspondent Trevin Bernarding is currently, as we're talking today, up in Canada at Osheaga.
Yeah, and I wanted to shift to that too, which he and another friend of ours referred to as, or at least a couple people did, forget who exactly, that it's basically the Lollapalooza of Canada.
Yeah, and so
Osheaga.
Osheaga.
I had to go and look it up and then write it out phonetically. Osheaga.
And he's, to your point, Trevin is, and we'll probably have him on again because he loves these festivals. But this one is special to him, and he's gone by himself. He's gone camping. He's done City Fest. But this one was one that he is with his wife and I think two of his daughters. I don't know if all three are there. But I reached out this morning and he texted me back and said it's a great vibe with the international feel. The best lineup for me was yesterday with Chappell Roan mid-afternoon, and then Rancid, Smashing Pumpkins, and Green Day.
How about that, Taco?
Wow. Yeah.
I'm glad you brought that up because I forgot to pull it up. That day in particular, the way this thing is stacked up on the main stage, that would have been Saturday night at Osheaga in Montreal. So, yeah, Chappell at, I can't even read the times. They're in some kind of French decoding. I don't know what it is. But early in the day, we'll call that probably 2:30 or so. Chappell Roan, Rancid, the punk-ass Rancid who got popular because of Green Day. That's why I know who Rancid is. But I would have thought Rancid was a band for 30 years. But so Chappell, Rancid, then Reneé Rapp, who Reneé Rapp and Chappell Roan are going to have crossover big time. But I like how they laid it out because it kind of lets people, gives time to kind of chill, come back, and then to headline with Green Day. That's a long day of very emotional roller coaster music.
Mm-hmm.
Chappell Roan and Reneé Rapp's I'll fight you over my boyfriend too type. Like I'll make you feel stupid too, girl. Like she sings that way too. That'd be a fun day of music.
And then I guess he wrapped up the day with Linda Linda's and T-Pain, and then
T-Pain.
Let's see, Green Day, yeah, and then Noah Kahan.
Smashing Pumpkins too, Russ.
Noah Kahan was up there,
Saturday
right?
too.
So
Noah Kahan headlines on Sunday
must
night.
be today.
Maybe.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So
it is a really cool looking festival.
Yeah.
And I knew that Montreal and Quebec was pretty French. I double checked.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't realize it's French.
Yeah.
I mean,
I think, and again, we'll have Trevin on, but I'm pretty sure they're there because his daughter is a huge Noah Kahan fan, and this was a family thing. So,
and I get to go to Montreal.
and you get to go to
awesome.
Canada to see a music festival. So
that sounds great.
that's pretty cool.
Neil Young dropped out of everything. The Crazy Horse Band got sick, and they're all 80. Neil's the youngest of Crazy Horse. There's 3 of them, including Neil. He's 78. The rest of them are 80 plus. And so he's out of Bourbon and Beyond, which was a big deal for me when that lineup first was dropped. And then Ohana is a California festival. It's actually Eddie Vedder's. He's one of the producers of it. But he dropped out of both of those, and Sting was replaced for both those festivals. Does that do anything for you, Barry? Does Sting being added to a festival, especially one like Bourbon and Beyond that we were all so excited about, does that mean anything to you?
We saw Sting. We saw the Police at Bonnaroo, right?
That was all I needed, but...
Yeah, it was disappointing only because it was such a... If you remember, we all thought, because Andy Sumner, had played the year before, had played the year before with, was it Oysterhead?
Oysterhead.
Oh,
yeah.
Copeland.
Stuart Copeland.
Yeah.
Stuart Copeland.
Sorry. And
he sat and he played with people like all weekend long.
Yeah. And so we thought this Police set was going to be this mind-blowing thing, and it was just straight
send
up.
me out and
It was sounded just like the radio kind of thing.
I don't remember it real well because I don't like the Police much at all, and I don't know. Sting, he's fine.
Yeah,
he's fine. He's fine.
To your question, I would rather see Neil.
Yeah,
personally, but
I think. Well, I don't know if that would be a universal answer or not because Sting is obviously quite popular.
I know.
So I think on paper though, that's a really good. Yeah.
I'll give you that.
Out.
I'll give you that. That's star for star.
Yeah,
I'll give you that. So
legacy act for sure. And then Bourbon and Beyond. I mean, I wanted to go into this just for a minute too. I'll start here and then you'll see why in a sec. So Bourbon and Beyond is just stacked by everybody's estimation, from a star power name to a niche artist on down. It's just one of the better festival lineups we've ever seen. It doesn't matter who's playing on that Thursday. It could be Rod Stewart, just insert somebody here because Zach Bryan is the headliner on that Saturday. Are either of you guys paying that close of attention to the ascension of what this Zach Bryan guy, where he's gone, where he's going? Have y'all seen this? Does it matter? Does it mean anything to you?
Only that it's huge. Yeah, I mean,
because for me, for a while, it was the first name, last name guys. Zach Bryan, Luke Bryan, Luke, John Perry, John Luke. Like I don't know who these people
Perry.
are.
Right.
Yeah, I'm going sideways now, but like all these guys, like this is there's so many of the Morgan Wallen, all these, and I just was not giving it any amount of my attention, and it was just I was blowing it off and rolling my eyes and acting like you guys are crazy. This can't be that good. And then if you read, I don't want to get too other ways sideways here, any kind of political conversation. But if you look at Zach Bryan's just wiki or whatever, but if just anything with a biography kind of write-up layout, it reads like a Toby Keith write-up, which is fine. I mean, I don't really want to read any more about it, but I'm thinking, okay, Star Spangled Awesome, I got you. And the more I've looked at this and the more I've talked to people who, when they tell me to listen to something, if I'm not following their lead, then that's on me, and they're never wrong. Like almost undefeated types. They're like, dude, just stop what you're doing and listen to this stuff. You'll love it. And I still haven't done it. But other than enough to realize, okay, maybe they're onto something. But that whole festival is wrapped up around Bourbon and Beyond, that Zach Bryan show on that Saturday night. Like that day pass and most weekends sold just because of him. It blows my mind how big this guy's filling up football stadiums.
Yeah, I know Charla from the Rubus is a huge fan. That's the whole reason she came to Moon River was just for Zach Bryan.
Okay. Yeah, that's when it started. Was at Moon River when I was with some people who some of them I didn't respect their opinion all that much. Well, we're gonna go see Zach Bryan. I was like, well, yeehaw and shucks. We'll see you later, guys.
Yeehaw and shucks.
And that was wrong of me, but that's when it started. And he was nothing at that point.
Yeah.
But his fan base was building. And it's singer-songwriter Isbell. People are like, if you like Jason Isbell, dude, then this is where you need to be. But haven't quite got there yet myself.
Speaking of, and we need to check South Star, the Huntsville Festival. I think you guys probably got the same email I did. If you went to Moon River, you got an email that hey, Moon River ticket buyers, you can get tickets to South Star. Did you guys get that?
Yeah. I don't know, but I wonder how those
tickets
I bought
one.
That's my point. I wonder. I would have assumed that would have sold out by now or been.
Do we know
close.
have we guessed or know what the capacity on that might be?
I think it's in that 12 to probably 15. I'm gonna
so
guess.
not a huge number.
No, it's a boutique, as we call them.
Good
size.
For the sake of when I go on that Saturday, if that's what I end up doing.
I am going. I already have my my accommodations. Daniel tells me that my accommodations are set, so I'm going.
Oh, yeah, no, our options are pretty plentiful for this one, so it's a difficult one to not do because it's such
and it's so close.
convenient situation. But
Russ will be in the bus.
Of course he will.
No, I actually can't make this one. I got a conflict.
That's right. You can't go.
That's right.
Mm-hmm.
You were going to go with Lindsay.
Those damn weddings get you every time.
I know. Yeah.
You haven't grown out of those weddings. I guess the younger,
Send a gift. Send a gift.
Family,
She's registered. Members. Send her the gift card.
Yeah.
Anyway, we'll talk about that.
The ticket prices for that thing are not that bad. Like $250-ish on the starting point to $300. I mean, I think we're starting to change our mind on what good and bad the definition is for ticket prices. But overall, I think it's pretty good.
If you got it on that ticket code, it was about $200, which is really good.
Oh, early on, yeah.
I'm still looking forward to it. I want to see Stefani. I want to see Jane's Addiction back.
Jane's Addiction is my number one. Yep. Has to no. Yep. No concessions going to be made here because I don't think and Stefani, I believe, is that Saturday night too, and I've never seen No Doubt or her.
Right.
So that would be good to get that out of the way too, but it is non-negotiable. Jane's Addiction, and I believe that's, maybe Russ, you would know this better than me, that's Navarro, right? That's Dave Navarro. That's
I think so, yeah.
That's all. That's the real band that matters. Yeah, I've never seen them, and
me either. Yep.
They've never been one of my top, anywhere near top favorites, but they certainly got cool music.
I want to see it. So
needs to be seen.
Yeah.
All right.
Hate to miss
it. You'll be dancing at a wedding, Russ. So, we do what we have to do, right? All right. What else?
I got these from Bonnaroo Loophole to Reality group, which is actually one of the more popular ones. So just some dates coming up this year that I didn't confirm any of this. Since we got a second, I'll throw them out there because I just happened to print it off. Pre-sale dates that usually come around Thanksgiving, November 16th, where they're saying whoever they is, lineup drop January 9th. These do fall on the dates that they normally do. Plus, this person who put this little significant date post out also put up a Google Doc of all these exact dates of the last 5 festivals. So just to show where, I mean, this is some fandom crazy. That's why I even looked at it. I was like, this is awesome. Like, I don't know if it's accurate.
Isn't that funny?
But went 5 years back to show that all these dates fall right about on those same times. So, lineup schedule April 2nd, if you want to go that far into 2025. But look for maybe some tickets for sale on the pre-sale in November. And, I mean, it'll be November before you know it. And things will start to be news building up just a couple months from now.
Isn't that funny?
Yeah, it won't be long.
Watched our last...
We should... Oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
I was going to say, speaking of loophole, I'm surprised we should probably get Shayna on at some point.
Yep. Okay. Who's Shayna?
Well, she's the admin for the Facebook group. It's a pretty big group.
Okay. I was trying to connect the dot too.
Sorry.
Yeah, my bad.
Yep.
Yeah, that's a very, very, very populated group.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm surprised we hadn't had her on.
That's a good thought.
There's a bunch.
Note to self. Here we go.
We're going to have,
go.
again, I think next week, unless something changes, we will have our winner of our contest to win crap from my basement. I actually sent her some pretty cool stuff, to be honest. But I can't wait to hear her story. So we have a lot of guests lined up. As we mentioned before, we're going to have some of the folks from C3, but that won't be till this fall to talk about what went right last year and what plans they have for next year. I'm looking forward to that. So, all right. I can't think of anything else.
I think we're pretty much caught up. I mean, we're hitting the stretch of just a few festivals left, really. I mean, there's the few that end up in September and October, and we've already mentioned a couple of them. But, things start to settle down as we're still blazing hot down here in the South, but it won't be long before that changes.
I don't know about you guys, but August seemed like it was way, way, way out in the future.
Back in June 11th, you mean?
Yeah, and then we hit August 1st, and I'm like, holy, what?
Well,
so
we have milked everything from Bonnaroo for as long as we can.
Have.
There is nothing left. There's nothing but B-roll and us cussing at each other and arguing and
yeehaw and shucks.
Yeehaw and shucks. And thanks to Beth. That was really fun.
Yeah.
And Russ, thank you. Y'all don't even have any idea what he had to do to make that show work, and you did a terrific job. But thanks to Beth and
also love the little standalone Woodstock video you made separate there too on the YouTube channel, right, Russ? Yeah.
Yeah.
That's cool just to be able to separate those
just
out.
Just to have a standalone thing. Yeah.
Yeah. Very good work.
Great work.
Thanks.
All right.
Great work.
Great. See you guys.